Momentum for positive change continued to build. The 1970s were becoming the decade of deinstitutionalization and integration. A dynamic and dedicated group of concerned individuals had banded together and set out to change the world. In order to provide meaningful training for those individuals who had completed their academic program at the Child Development Center, it was felt that a vocational training program was needed. The Idaho Division of Vocational Rehabilitation granted funds to the Department of Health and Welfare for the construction of a vocational training facility for individuals with disabilities. The facility was under the direction of the Advisory Board of the Child Development Center. This vocational center represented the dawn of new opportunities for Idahoans with disabilities. It was the beginning of Development Workshop. Development Workshop was born out of local efforts in response to a national movement to establish services for people with disabilities. The dreamed-of services would allow individuals to remain in their homes and successfully integrate into their communities, to have jobs, to have housing, to be independent. The Child Development Center Vocational Complex, as it was called then, was dedicated on July 1st of 1971. H. Dwight Whittaker was hired to create and launch the vocational training program. After months of preparation, the Work Evaluation and Training Program began providing services December 7, 1971. The program began by serving just 12 clients with a staff of 3 and a budget of $40,000. Development Workshop was one of the pioneers in the United States to begin providing community-based vocational services.
My first day on the job was July 1st, 1971. We had a shell of a building. It was a wonderful building, and there were no programs in place, it really wasn't any equipment to think of, and we knew we had several people with disabilities that we wanted to get to work as soon as we could. And by the time the equipment was identified and brought in, and some contracts were identified, we began operation the 1st of December, 1971. I'll never forget the first payday for these 12 individuals. First time many of them had received any kind of earnings, and I was privileged to call them into my office and personally hand them their first paychecks. Some people were just, ecstatic, and some people didn't know what a paycheck was. Some people just cried, like I did that first time. That was a tremendous occasion for our society, for our community, and not very many people knew about that. And to be privileged to be there as part of that. Still, after almost 40 years, is one of my highlights that I'll always cherish.
Over the first 2 years, success for the vocational program had been building. By mid-1973, the program could stand on its own. Development Workshop, Inc. was incorporated as a private, not-for-profit entity, totally separate from the state of Idaho.